Let me set my timer first. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here's the leader of opposition. Well, we live in Indonesia, whose most of the society is consuming meat. Whatever is that is still meat. And the motion itself is this house will ban all production and consumption of meat. So the segment is animals end up on the plates. We can change into plain, which is more affordable. So here's the thing. The meat itself will end up on the plates if we didn't cook them, right? So, and it's end up on the plate like not every single day we consume meat, right? If we buy, let's say, if we buy around 2 kilograms of meat today, if it's not like we're gonna eat that straight away, but we can still use that to be cooked in the next day for certain menu. Let's say today we buy 2 kilograms of meat for use to be cooked rendang. We can still use the rest of the meat to cook to be the ingredients of the next menu. Okay, and the next statement, companies may product vegan meat because it's cheaper and convenient for the consumer. Well, even if we consume vegan meat and use that as the alternative, like whatever it's still meat after all. Okay, and the next statement is we consume meat because it is delicious, and if we consume it, we can be obesity. Okay, here's the thing. The statement itself is kind of not true because it is too biased on the bad impact of the meat itself. It's not see the good impact of the meat. We know that meat has a lot of nutrients, like rich of minerals, protein, which is very useful for humans' health to prevent from anemia, and it also help increase blood pressure for those who have a history of low blood disease. So here's the thing: if those people who has a history of low blood disease consuming cut meat, they can increase the pressure of their blood to be healthier than they used to be. So that's one of the good impact of consuming meat. So I say the statement is too biased on the bad impact. And the next is we can prevent of being obesity by we can about the meat itself, we can grill it or we can fry it using certain oil, not the ordinary oil like we kind of used before. We can use olive oil and so on and so forth. So to prevent from being obesity, because the meat itself, the oil that used to be fried meat itself is kind of healthy. And the second argument, the consuming meat is harmful for the environment because it produces carbon pollution and something like that. I kind of reputable for this statement because the residual of the meat itself is kind of useful for certain function outside than the consuming meat itself. Okay, let's say the meat itself have the residual like gas, methane gas or something like that, or the skin or something like that. We can use that for another reason, for another function. Okay, so let's say biogas or methane gas. We can still use that for another function, and the skin of the animals that we got the meat is kind of useful. Let's say in Tulungagung, for it to be precise, we can find any other outlet of shop that sell kerupuk rambak. The so-called kerupuk rambak is from the skin of the animals that we cut the meat itself. And animals can produce methane gas. Like the OG said, it could damage the environment. But if we sure enough to prevent the environment from the damage, we can convert this residual gas or the so-called methane gas as the vehicle fuel, which is much more environmentally friendly than the current fuels that we can find in any other places nearby us. It's still damage the environment if we use a kind of vehicle fuel. So methane gas, we can prevent that from environmentally damage. It's more environmentally friendly. Okay, the next statement is the third argument. Meat is useful for every ceremony in vegan towards animals. Well, this statement itself is, I don't say anymore, it's not kind of true because most of the time it's true, it's acceptable that meat is only used for ceremony. I accept that. But here's the thing, most of the time meat is only used at certain times, especially in Indonesia or to be precise in Java, where meat is mostly used for the celebration, ceremony, and so on and so forth. And therefore, the statement that eating meat can avoid animals is not entirely true because it is impossible for us to slaughter one tail for one event. Let's say, if we held like an ordinary event or just average ceremonial or something like that, we can use one tail to use in that point straight away, because it's most wasteful, right? So we don't have to necessarily kill one animals in one event for one event. It's not like that. It's not like we're gonna use the whole cow to be in one event. It's not gonna true. So here's the thing. It's impossible for us to slaughter one tail for one event, but because it will be wasteful, just like I said earlier, it will be wasteful enough. Therefore, we tend to buy from a butcher shop to get retail meat. So for the ordinary event or for the ordinary ceremonial, the average event, we don't like buy one tail animals to be used, or the meat itself is gonna use for the event alone. But we get retail of that. We buy the retail so that we can use them in certain event. That the average event of that we can use that in the certain event. And so the city doesn't completely hurt the animals or let animals in so much pain, just like the OG said, because just like I said before, it's not one tail that we use. So we can, let's say, we're not gonna let animals in pains. Like we're not like killed all of the meat, all of the animals to get their meat in certain event in one day of that. We're not gonna about the factory itself, the factory production, but for the single use, it's not like that. That's not the mechanism of that. So I say about the completely animals let animals in so much pain, it's not necessarily to be in the statement, because it's not us who going to be like the one who killed itself. Okay, so here's the thing. This house would ban all production and consumption of meat. So it's not necessarily true, because the production of the factory they can still have can profit of themselves. And it's not necessarily ban production, because we still use another vegan of the meat. So it's not necessarily true. The statement itself I refutable. Okay, thank you.